Good evening and welcome to episode 8 of the Unhinged Dads podcast. I'm Brian De Almeida. With me is my regular co-host, Dave Pasco, the exceedingly
Yo.
unhinged Dave.
Always and forever.
So, Dave, how are you doing this week?
Oh, goodness. This week has felt like it has taken forever. And I'm not sure that there is a good reason for that, except that, as our several mutual friends pointed out today, parenting, being primary caregiver parent on three quite intelligent children, and living in months-long state of more or less constant stress related to uncertainty has it's a pretty darn good recipe for burnout.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm hanging in there by the skin of my teeth.
I know
So
that
to speak.
feeling. Oh, hold on one sec. I need to turn off a light in here. It's making my forehead look very, very shiny.
I could do that too. Hold on. I got a flashlight. Boom. Oh, nope, that kills the camera entirely. Never mind.
I don't have your hairline, thankfully.
Yes, I have a 5 head because you can fit my entire hand on there. A 5 head and no good time to get haircuts. It is a thing.
Yeah, I'm getting close to due. Oh, I have people who make fun of me because my hair gets done in a high and tight. They're like, "You were never even in the military." It's like, look, I have massive curly hair, and I kind of hate it when it gets poofy. So the second that the sides are long enough that they start curling and poofing out, it is time to go. And the way to maximize the time between haircuts is to shave it to the skin.
Yeah. Yeah. I can actually pull off Wolverine hair from, like the 90s cartoon Wolverine, whereas the wings of hair,
Yeah.
which it seems to indicate male pattern baldness. Well, I can do that too, only without. No, I can't maintain that claim. I could just do that with a little bit of product or like not showering for a week.
Yeah, I'm sure Mrs. Dave loves the idea of not showering for a week.
Actually, I am a glorious unicorn in that I have almost no body odor.
You should have become a submariner.
Yeah, but then you just gain sub stink.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we know a few retired bubbleheads.
Yes.
I do not think that is an environment in which I would thrive.
Probably not. For anybody who is wildly unfamiliar with life aboard a submarine, Crimson Tide is an excellent representation. They got very good, very knowledgeable subject matter experts to advise them, because a fistfight in the passageway over which Silver Surfer is the correct Silver Surfer is exactly the kind of thing you would expect to have happen in a submarine.
Yeah, because the military is full of far more nerds than most people suspect, and the submarine service even more so, judging by the people I know.
Given what it takes to even get into the school, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's before you go separate out the nukes from the rest of the bubbleheads.
Yes, the high-functioning weaponized autists.
Yeah, the military has a couple of career fields for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I happen to know one who's now a retired colonel from the Air Force who spent his entire career developing rocket propellants when he wasn't on bullshit staff assignments.
That's cool. That is
he
great.
tells he tells the story of being stationed out at Edwards, and their lab was a building many miles away from anything else on the installation.
Yeah.
He had a weekend off, came in on Monday, and the building was gone.
Someone mixed the wrong things.
Yeah, there were pieces of it all
Oh
over the
yeah.
base.
Oh yeah.
But I guess Edwards is big enough that nobody noted the big kaboom, and so it was rather surprising that the
Ed,
installation was gone.
Edwards is the one that the president flies into, right? Just south of DC.
No, Edwards
No,
is
that's
in Southern California desert. That's where we
okay.
used that's
Edwards
where
is
we
Southern
used to
California desert,
land.
right? I was
Yeah,
thinking Andrews. Edwards is yeah. Edwards is enormous. I've driven. I've actually flown into Edwards once as on a Space A, and it's there's just a lot there, like a lot of nothing.
yeah. Edwards was the primary landing field for the space shuttle,
Hmm.
and then they piggybacked it on a 747 back to Florida, which is one of the wildest things you've ever seen, even just in
Yeah.
photos.
Yep. I've only seen it in photos. Never got to see that one in person.
No, but anyways, before we get completely sidetracked, which is yes our specialty,
As is our
um,
want.
let's hit our questions three.
Mm.
First being, what have we done for self improvement of some sort this week?
Well, we have undertaken to begin walking, taking an evening perambulation as a family, ostensibly to make sure the dog gets walked. But the reality is, everybody needs to move more,
Yep.
and getting a large chunk of just movement in right before bed things happen is a great way to get the children to fall asleep relatively easily.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly a lot better than sitting around and watching TV and getting everybody's hindbrain going right before bedtime.
Yeah. Yep.
For me this week, I've been working on being kinder to myself as far as scheduling goes. Because
Mm,
I'm doing I'm finishing out one of the rooms in the basement, bedroom for one of my boys, and having come up in construction, I have an idea in my head of how long things should take.
right.
Based on professionals who are doing it every day, and I like to go and set in my head a schedule that roughly matches that, and then I get pissed off and all up in my own face over being too slow and taking too long.
Yeah. My wife likes to bludgeon me about the head and shoulders with the reality that I tend to set standards for myself that are the kinds of things that professionals in a doing the same thing would set,
Yes.
which
And
arguably isn't fair.
no, it isn't, because for one thing, while I have worked on framing crews, I've worked on drywall crews, I have assisted professional electricians and such. That has never been my full-time job for more than a week or two at a time.
Hmm.
Then, of course, I'm also doing this completely by myself.
Right. Even
So,
having someone physically present and not working can speed things up. Having another set of hands just to hold something. Hey, hold this thing in place while I do X. Um, Saves enormous amounts of time on
yeah,
practically everything.
I employed my oldest daughter's ex-boyfriend yesterday to help me lay the drywall on the ceiling,
Yeah, have somebody hold it in
because
place.
he's like 6'4" and he's strong. He was a state champion wrestler his senior year.
Yeah,
Hurt he, if I remember correctly, he turned down a wrestling scholarship because he doesn't want to wrestle anymore.
Right. I think we've talked about that. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, as I recall, wrestling was more something his mom wanted him to do.
Hmm.
He much prefers rugby.
Ah, yes. The sport of gentlemen played by thugs. Or was that the sport of thugs played by gentlemen?
I
It's one
am
of those.
unsure. By the way, rugby is crazy,
Yes.
but
Fun to watch.
needless to say, he's a rather strapping young lad,
Right.
and so hey, help me hold these things up against the ceiling so that I can screw them in. And then he had the temerity to refuse payment
Yeah.
because he said, "Well, I learned things today." I'm like, "I don't care. You saved me $100 on renting a panel lift
Yep.
and having to drive around and get it and then bring it back and being under the
Hmm.
time crunch of the rental."
Hmm.
Or like, "This is worth
This is worth me paying you cash monies. Please take it.
yes." And he said, "No, I won't take it." I said, "Give me your Venmo code." He says, "No," and then goes and texts all of my teenage children to tell them, "Do not give the grill master my Venmo code," because that's what this kid christened me like a year ago.
Yeah, that's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, this
Clearly, clearly you are making no good impression on that particular young man.
dude, it is weird because I end up as like secondary or surrogate dad to so many of these teenagers because they show up at my house and I feed them and then I talk to them like they're people
Yeah.
that
Yep.
I can walk the halls of their schools. And I have kids I have never met going up, "Hi, Brian." I even have kids going, "Hey, Grill Master." I'm like,
Ah,
I do not know you, but hi.
yeah. Clearly, we know somebody together. We have
Yes.
somebody in common, but I don't know who you are. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's yeah, it's somewhat disconcerting to realize that at least in some ways we're the cool parents,
Hmm.
which is honestly not something I ever aspired to, never expected to happen because I've never been one of the
Well,
cool people anywhere.
you treat them like human beings,
Yep.
like agents in their own right, and you maintain boundaries.
Yeah, which is unfamiliar for a lot of these teenagers, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I have random other teenagers who are here and I'm helping them fix their cars or diagnose their cars. Or,
Sure.
"Can you teach me how to do this?" Well, yeah, sure. I had one daughter's boyfriend when I was going to go wire up this bedroom said, um, "I know how electricity works. I don't know how people actually put these things together. Can I help you and learn how?"
Yeah.
It's like, "Yeah,
If
sure."
Yeah, if you already understand how electricity works, this is going to be very easy for you.
Well, we didn't. Well, we made a new circuit that has not been connected to the panel yet, so it was dead, dead, dead.
Yeah.
But I hand the kid a drill and say, "Okay, I've marked the height of the holes where I want the Romex to go through on all these studs. Start drilling holes through them."
There you
And he
go.
goes, um, "This is only the second time I've ever handled a power tool. How do I do this?" Which, knowing
Oh,
the kid, was like, "Oh yeah, because your dad's in prison and your mom is a university professor.
hmm.
I am not terribly surprised that your exposure to power tools is nil.
Yep.
So, okay, this is how we do this. This is how we do this. This is how I wire in outlets. And do you understand why they're being done this way as opposed to the cheap, fast way most people do it, which is you run. If you got two pieces of Romex, You wire one to one side of the outlet, wire one to the other side of the outlet. Problem being is if that outlet ever misfunctions, your circuit is broken and everything downstream does not function,
Hmm.
which then means you're diagnosing from the end of the branch up to, or depending on the type of failure, the circuit breaker trips, and you're trying to figure out which receptacle is the problem.
Yep.
Instead, we wire them together and run pigtails off of the outlet to where the wires are run together, so that if any one unit fails, the rest of the circuit still works.
Yes.
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah. Which was, in fact, the way I was taught to wire them.
That is not how I was taught to wire things,
Mm.
because it is faster and therefore makes more money to do it the other way. And most of the time, it's never going to cause a problem.
It's true, but as a homeowner, it makes more sense to do it the right way. So that because
Yes.
you always have to, you always have to assume you're going to be the next guy.
Yep. Yeah. So try to, try. That's actually one of those things is learn to think long term and
Hmm.
figure that if something goes wrong, you're going to be the one diagnosing and fixing it. So make it as easy on yourself as possible.
Yes.
So yeah, I have been working to set a schedule in my, mind you, the schedules are just in my mind. And when I get behind, then I get all pissed off at myself because I'm being
Yep.
slow and I should have done that faster and I shouldn't have made that mistake and had to redo this. Well, guess what? I'm doing framing about 4 days out of a year.
Yes.
I'm going to be slower than somebody who does it every day.
Yeah. And while it is not, framing is not a difficult job, but if, like any task, if you are doing it every day, you get much, much faster at it.
Yep. So that was my bit for self-improvement this week, was try to make the schedules in my head be more realistic for the other things I have to do aside from the construction, and
Mhm.
acknowledging the fact that I do not do this every day, and my body's a lot more broken than the average dude in his early 40s.
It's true.
Yeah. So what's something that we screwed up this week?
Oh, God bless.
Just one.
Just one. Okay, right.
Don't need a
Just
list.
one. Ah, well, emotional regulation seems to be the perennial favorite. I am working on that. That is a constant struggle. The When one of my children, elder children, does something that is outright cockamamie, it is very hard to not react to them as if they are genuinely stupid at times, because it is so wildly out of left field. I've had this conversation where it's my kids are so relatively mature for their age, and
Uh
their
huh.
intellectual capacity is um, usually near adult. Uh,
Yes, and they're extraordinarily well spoken for their age, which makes it easy to lapse into thinking of them internally kind of as just small adults.
Short adults, yeah, and then they act their age, and it's somehow shocking.
Uh-huh.
Um, Not letting that be a source of anger that then gets taken out on them is a bit of an issue, and that's when the emotional dysregulation comes into it. It's like, okay, I realize where this is coming from, but that doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, and of course it's understandable given the pile of immediate stressors,
Yeah, well,
with
and my oldest is a firstborn, and so he feels very strongly about certain kinds of things, as firstborns tend to do, and tries to regulate on his sister, and that is not. I am endeavoring to help him understand why that is not his job.
Yep. That's one of those, hey kid, I need you to stay in your lane. This is not your
Mm-hmm.
job. You need to leave this to me. If there
Yep.
is a problem, I will address it.
Yeah.
And with boys who were entering the early stages of puberty, they get to feeling a little. Um,
Feisty.
I was going to say the phrase that comes from my upbringing is a little big for their britches.
Yes. That is very clearly what is going on, and we're going to have this conversation again, possibly on a daily
Oh,
basis.
yes, for the next 8 years or so, possibly.
Yep. Yep.
Well, daily for the next 4 or so.
Yes. This is one of the reasons I have them training in calisthenics is that regular exercise has a tendency to mitigate, if not ameliorate, some of these symptoms of acute testosterone poisoning.
Yes, it does. This is one of the reasons that, sometimes I go to my boys, it's like, okay, guys, we're going outside and we're going to do something else now. We
We're
need
going
to
to do
burn off energy.
we're going to do something physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is accompanied by much moaning and groaning. But shut up, guys. We're going to go move firewood.
Yep. I suddenly have a great deal of sympathy for those who have prescribed in the past digging a hole and then filling it in.
Yeah, actually, in the context of raising teenage boys, that seems like less of a cruel and unusual punishment than the book made it out to be.
Yeah. Well, and the other side of that is that I can make that better once we're back in the house by saying, here, dig up the first 4 inches of this patch of ground for me. I'm going to
And have
start
it
on the other
actually be
side.
useful.
Exactly. Because, it would serve us well to loosen the soil here. That's it. That's all.
Oh, geez. That movie was 2003.
Holes?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that may have been just about the last film Shia LaBeouf did before he became insufferable. And I know why you're laughing.
Yeah.
And Jim isn't listening, but I've been given crap for many years for apparently looking like him.
There's a superficial resemblance.
Yes, but it's so happened that walking into a restaurant where I'm meeting friends because I happen to be in the area with them. I walk in the door and I have a semi drunk Jim yelling, "Shia, Shia, we're over here!" And I'm just like, "Oh God, dude, really?"
Yeah. I appreciate I appreciate some of our friends more from a distance at times than I do in person. And at the same time, you know, I really appreciate that kind of relationship now and again.
Yes, we benefit from having the exuberant friends,
Yes.
even though
I
it's
am not
probably
typically the
best that we are
exuberant
not
friend.
next door neighbors. Okay, so for what I screwed up, I'm going to go with today
Yeah.
because hanging drywall. I've gotten all the upper sheets done. Now I need to do the lower sheets. So I go to grab the broom to go sweep up all the debris that's piled up against my bottom plate studs so that it's not
Yep.
in the way. And my broom is missing. The broom that I brought in from the workshop down
Yeah.
there to have that broom to use when I need it because I like to clean up as I go, etc.
Yep.
It's not there. I
Yep.
spent 10 minutes going through the basement looking for it, looking for the places where one of my daughters tends to grab a broom and then leave it.
Right.
It's not there. I'm getting progressively more annoyed because, well, I'm already annoyed because honestly, I really hate drywall. I hate everything about it. But that's part of what I signed up for in this retirement gig. And even then, I'm too cheap to pay somebody to do something that I'm capable of doing on my own. I will get it done slower. It will require more mud. The end product will be high quality. But so I'm already, there's already that kind of low key. I fucking hate what I'm doing, and I'm trying to get it done. And now I can't find the tool that I brought in here specifically for this. And I went upstairs finally looking for it, found it, and I glance in the kitchen and I see that one of my daughters has a colander of pasta sitting on the drying towel for dishes. And
Right.
this has been a constant thing for quite
This is
some time of, hi, we do not place food preparation stuff on the thing for clean dishes.
yes.
And I just went, hey, get that off of there. But there's no room in the sink, and there's no room on the counter. I
So
made sure it's not dripping. I said,
wash some
well,
dishes.
child, the sink is full because you didn't do the dishes last night when you were supposed to. And I
Yep.
was stuck on phone calls until midnight. So I did not remind you. But you did not wash the dishes last night. And I've been very busy all day. I did not go through to do them because I'm not feeding 8 people for dinner tonight, because some of my children are over at their dad's, and this is bonus Friday because it's the end of the quarter, so there's no school tomorrow. So teenagers are all out doing stuff anyways.
Groovy.
But it's, child, the sink is full because you did not do the dishes last night like you were supposed to, and the
Hmm.
counter is covered in stuff because you've been baking and you don't know how to clean up after yourself as you're going along there. That does not excuse sticking the thing of pasta on the mat for drying dishes,
Yeah.
which I very much let the simmering exasperation out far more than I should have.
Mm.
Made her feel poorly because she's very sensitive to being criticized at all. And I was not kind about saying, well, the reason there's no room is because you have failed to follow through in what you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, emotional regulation.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. One of the things I realized, I'm thinking about this from this perspective of like trying to explain things to people, is very, very often when you're acting as a parent, the way you feel is irrelevant.
Yep.
Like your feelings are in fact irrelevant to the situation. Yes, it's something that you have to deal with on your own time, but the fact that you're bothered by 10 other things and your child has just added another thing on top of that, they are not responsible for the fact that you were already at 7 out of 10 on the frustration schedule before they did something.
Yep.
And they do not deserve to receive any of that they did not cause. And frankly, most of the time, they don't deserve to receive the emotional unloading for what they did cause.
Yep.
Because very rarely do they act out of malice. They act out of being immature,
Yes.
out of being dysregulated, not thinking ahead because they are still very much in the stage of developing their brains and learning from experience. So yeah, emotional regulation is one of our hobby horses here because we both struggle with it on a day-to-day basis, and it's one of the most important things I think that you can do for your children is to master yourself. Because I look back at growing up, and one of the most disconcerting things for me was when I got in trouble for something, there was no consistency.
Mm.
There was not a high degree of consistency to what I got in trouble for. The degree to which I was in trouble and the degree to which I was punished were dependent entirely on my parents' emotional state at that time.
Yeah.
If they were in a good mood, I could say something that they wouldn't even say anything about. The next day, when they're in a bad mood, I could say the exact same thing, the exact same situation, and I'd be grounded for 2 weeks and receive a 15-minute, frothy faced scolding. And children thrive on consistency.
Yes. Scarily, children do better when things are consistently bad, so long as they're consistent. It is
Yes.
inconsistency that is the leads to the worst outcomes.
Yeah. Inconsistency leads to lots of insecurity because they're never sure what's going to happen. They're never sure
Mm-hmm.
what the reaction's going to be to them making a mistake.
Well, and frankly, at least based on my own experiences, they would get enough of that in school from their peers who are biologically insane, um,
Yes.
whose brains are marinating in a pickling stew of hormones that they are unused to the point where no one is consistent with them,
Hmm.
except hopefully their parents.
A stew of hormones and TikTok. Let's not forget that.
Oh yes. Mm.
Okay. So, what is something that we did well this week?
Oh goodness, what did I do well? Um, I am certain there is something. I mean, it kind of is the little things. Realizing how very little power I have over my own life right now is more than a little frustrating. But I've managed to keep people fed.
Yeah.
Um,
And with your whole housing situation and the standing, we may have to get out of this unit next week,
mhm.
whether we want to or not, is a significant stressor, and that's maintaining consistency for yourself and for the Davelings.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Putting together food and making sure there are things like leftovers for my wife to take to work um, is a bigger thing than it usually feels like.
yeah, because the background stress level is much higher than it normally should be.
Yeah.
Um, I thought of something earlier and I forgot about it. This is one of those weeks I don't feel like I did anything really horribly. I don't feel like I did anything great either.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna go with I'm managing a whole bunch of simultaneous stuff pretty well. I've got my own therapy. We've got kids who are doing individual therapy, kids who are doing family therapy with their father.
Hmm.
The therapy office is 20 minutes away, and there's one day a week that it ends up being 5 trips back and forth as people are getting out of school and have a therapy appointment, and then the next one gets out of school because we have 5 kids in 4 different schools, so they're all on different schedules. And
It's a lot of
there's
driving.
myself. There's managing the meetings with my in-laws and with their builder as I'm kind of project managing them building their house that they just closed on the lot for.
Yep.
There's the work in the basement that I'm doing. There's maintaining the house, taking care of dogs,
Hmm.
making sure all the children are fed, and I kept all the balls in the air. Didn't drop anything. Didn't lose any children. Nobody got anywhere late. No missed appointments. I'm going to call that a win.
That is a substantial achievement when that is you're spinning as many plates as you are.
Yeah. So I'll give myself credit for that.
Yeah.
So our topic that we worked on with some help from suggestions from YouTube. I don't know if this is a new feature they're rolling out or we hit some milestone to be worthy of it, but
Ooh.
I have a whole inspiration page from YouTube now, and occasionally it has something worth looking at. So we titled this episode, shit, what did I title it? Failure by Comparison.
Ah, right.
And, that is, especially in this excessively connected age where so many people seem to put their entire lives up for public view, we get to see lots of curated images of what people want to show you, to which our own accomplishments and the things that we are doing and suffering through begin to feel rather paltry.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's the sense that really I can't make sure that X, Y, and Z happen on a regular basis, and those things are so pedestrian. Why am I having trouble with this?
Yeah, you've got people who do post about their families and the successes with their kids this week. Well, you're seeing a 15 to 30-second curated clip, and your brain interprets that as the 24-hour reality for these people.
Right. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
No, because, well, Dave, who is our harshest critic?
This guy.
Yeah,
This guy, the one I'm pointing at right now, the one I see in
yeah,
the mirror
this
every day.
asshole.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I joke because I'm sort of stay-at-home dad and self-employed. I go,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, being self-employed is great. My boss is an asshole,
Right.
but the human
But no.
resources department is out to lunch.
Yeah,
I can make any joke that I want, and I'm not going to get fired for it.
it's true.
But yeah, my boss is a real asshole.
Yeah, and all of our writer friends make that same joke, but they also say that the their sole employee is terrible.
Yeah, so that's kind of the premise that we're looking at here. Is we see, well, for an example, this bedroom that I'm working on. You're not going to see me posting photos of the drywall as it's hung because it's not fantastic.
It's also, frankly, it's drywall. Okay, there. I don't know. You've probably seen it. There's a video out there of a dude in like 1958 cutting a
Oh, who's
drywall arch by
drywalling the arch? Oh my god.
drywalling the arch with an axe, a drywall axe. It's like that's amazing to watch. As
Uh huh.
even as someone who knows basically what's going on there, that is, it's like this is possibly a master at his craft. This is certainly somebody who knows exactly what he's doing and has done it for many years.
Yeah, that's one of those things that comes up on the oddly satisfying subreddit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's one of those things of somebody who is a master of their craft makes it look incredibly easy.
Yeah.
Go watch Paul Sellers as he hand planes and flattens lumber.
Yep.
He makes it look incredibly easy. Like it takes very little effort at all. You just take that plane and you run it across, and you check it, and you run it a little bit more, and you now have dead flat lumber.
Yeah.
And then you try to do it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and you go, "Oh, holy shit! This only looks easy if you've been doing it for the last 60 years every day."
Right. Again, doing one thing consistently for a long period of time will get you into the top handful of percentage of folks in the world who are good at things, are good at that one thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The actually the phrase that I like that YouTube fed us is unfair benchmarking.
well, I mean, YouTube can just go shut the fuck up then, because I happen to be really damn good at unfair benchmarking, and I don't feel like I should have to be called out on that anytime. Damn it.
Mrs. Dave says otherwise.
Mrs. Dave very strenuously and vehemently says otherwise.
She
And
like
she's correct, to be clear.
she like my wife says, I really like this person. I wish you would stop being so fucking mean to them.
Look, I'd be less mean if he deserved not being mean to or something. I'd shut up and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of my internal dialogue. But I know where I screwed up today.
Right. Yeah. There's a YouTuber, Myron Golden, who does business related stuff, and he says, you're the only one who's heard every lie you've ever told. And darn if some of us don't hold ourselves to a probably unfair standard over such things.
Oh, there's no probably in the unfair. Is it, if you look at you look at parenting,
Hmm.
most of what we're talking about is things we've figured out that work, things that we've figured out that that tend to have pretty good outcomes
Yep.
for somebody who has their first kid. We talked about tantrums after having experienced them for literally dozens of years.
Yeah.
The dad who has with his first toddler, who's dealing with the first full blown public temper tantrum in the middle of a Walmart at 9 p.m. as you're trying to get some damn milk
Yep.
or diapers or whatever, listens to that and goes, "How do you guys figure this shit out? How can you approach this so lightly?" Because he's completely overwhelmed by it.
And the answer is you survive it.
Yes,
You breed resiliency by surviving adversity.
yes, and you do not
That's all it does.
compare your reaction to doing something the first time to
Hmm.
that of somebody who's done it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Especially when they're coming back from a perspective of, I'm trying to give you some tips to be able to do this better.
Yeah.
Sometimes the effect of, this is something I figured out, here, let me help you, is to make yourself feel even shittier about having not figured that out already.
Yeah.
In hindsight, that seems really obvious. Yeah, not until you've seen it.
Yeah.
Then it's, oh, I never thought of that, but I really should have. And the fact of the matter is, no, you should not have,
Hmm.
because you lack the experience to have immediately reached that conclusion.
Yeah. Yes. And often it requires having gone through it several times with several children to really get how to let that kind of thing just go.
Mm-hmm. And again, looking at people talking about, or showing how they parent and how things work in their family. There's that ideal. There's one I can turn to, one where everybody sits down at dinner and everybody eats what was put in front of them and nobody complains about it and there are no tantrums.
Hmm.
That is never going to be the reality at my house
No.
because of the developmental realities of some of my kids.
Yep.
One on the spectrum, one with a whole bunch of anxiety and other stuff as relates to food.
Yep.
Yeah, you see the aesthetic, you
Understandably, but
see the ideal, and sometimes that ideal is just completely out of touch with the developmental needs of your kids.
yes.
I mean, I don't think that you're ever going to have many opportunities where your three kids are going to sit down and quietly enjoy the same program on TV without any bickering.
I mean, they'll enjoy it for 30 seconds at a time, but
Yeah,
then they're gonna one of them's going to pull out a book, or one of them's going to grab some paper to start folding, and the smallest one is already trying to get out of the closed door because he wants to find daddy.
Yeah. And then the dog starts eating something that she shouldn't.
We're generally we've gotten pretty lucky about that one, but that is definitely a concern. It's you it involves learning what is and is not actually important, and what is and is not actually going to make a lasting difference.
Yes. For example, with my ARFID kid,
Mm-hmm.
we finally realized that the most important thing for him was that he get enough calories because he was not
Yep.
growing. He was like
Yeah,
13 years old and not growing, and we're like,
that's a concern.
you know what? Getting enough calories into the kid by accommodating the relatively short list of things he will willingly eat is more important than trying to broaden his culinary horizons. So we changed our approach to let's get the kid eating enough,
Mm-hmm.
and as we're doing that, let's do what we can to ensure he's getting a somewhat adequate variety, that he gets a starch, protein, and a fruit or vegetable in every meal that he does.
Yeah.
It
Let's
may be
let's
that
try to
that,
hit
that that fruit or vegetable is grapes 5 days out of 7.
let's try to hit some macros.
And we're not even aiming for macros. Just hopefully develop the habit of just not eating entirely starch and sugar,
Yeah.
which would put him ahead of a lot of adults that I know.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but you have that vision in your head that you create. You also have
Mm-hmm.
the ones that other people create for you,
Oh yeah.
and quite frequently actually meeting the needs of your kids is not going to look like that perfect thing you saw on Instagram or that you imagined in your head when you were being completely unreasonable with yourself.
Well, it's boring for one. You can't really show it off. I made sure my kids ate 2.5 meals today. Does not sound good in our currently hyper litigious society, overburdened with petty bureaucrats who have the power to get into families. Um, it is also a genuine fear of dealing with.
Yeah,
And so there's a sense of that. I can't even complain about how frustrating I am finding things.
yeah, in some ways. Um, I did have DCFS visit here once because my oldest daughter's therapist, who was brand new, very fresh out of school by like months.
Oh,
This is while we were trying to find a therapist who was actually good for her.
mm-hmm.
Decided I think she needs to be in an inpatient facility. And we were like, no, she does not. She's doing okay. She needs a good therapist to continue working on things, but no, she's not actively suicidal. She does not meet admission criteria, which we know well because I hang out with a couple of child and adolescent psychiatrists. I actually do know, in fact, what the admission criteria are,
Yeah,
and
you
what.
tend to pick that kind of thing up through simple conversation.
Yes. And so when I said no, that is not necessary right now. She went and called DCFS and told them that we were refusing to provide mental health care. So I got a call from a caseworker who said, I need to do a home visit. And I said, well, okay. We set an appointment. She came and she showed up at our house. She walked in, looked around. She talked to us for 5 minutes and said, wait a second. The person who made the report was your daughter's therapist. I said, yes. Her therapist that you're making her go see is the
You,
one who said that you're refusing to provide mental health care.
it doesn't. You can't make that make sense.
And I said, yes, that is correct. And she went, okay, we're done here. You guys are doing
You,
just fine. Have a nice
and
day.
and that's a realistic standard.
It is. Now, you
Because
cannot guarantee
that
that every
caseworker,
petty bureaucrat is going to be reasonable.
yeah, and the reality is that caseworker sees like children who are actively neglected or actually abused on a probably daily basis.
Yes, that is not a job I could ever do.
Well, you're too much of a paladin. It's why my brother-in-law went into became an electrician instead of a cop, because he recognized that he would very quickly start shooting people.
Yeah, I don't think that I could work for DCFS without turning into some low rent version of the Punisher.
Yeah,
Because I have a real problem with people who harm children.
that's I think that's fair. I think a lot of people um, have a similar problem.
Yeah, but much respect to the people who are able to wade through that field of human excrement every day
Hmm.
and continue on, especially since they don't get paid worth a damn either. But you're
Yeah,
right, from the perspective of the parent, that's always kind of the boogeyman that somebody could make a phone call and make some crazy accusations that somebody decides to act on
yeah,
to
and
the negative
and
effect of yourself and your kids.
and the concern is that the reason it's genuinely scary is because you see it, and you see it from the perspective of a coworker whose family got something, their kid did a stupid thing in the wrong place and ended up bloody, and somebody made a call.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
And
we do see those stories.
yeah, and as a parent who generally does as much as they can for the betterment of their children, it is hard to understand that there are genuinely people who just don't care about their kids.
Yeah, I've this is one of the things I struggle with the whole random teenagers sitting around my kitchen table,
Hmm.
who some after dinner are sitting there unloading their lives on me because somehow I'm the empathetic figure who's the therapist to random children, which is so far out of what I see my character to be that it's really induces a lot of dissonance. But I've had kids who end up sleeping here for a week because they're 15 years old and their mom said, "I'm tired of you. Get out of my house. Don't come back."
That's hard to understand because I've met some of those kids, and they're I am sure that they could be very frustrating.
Oh hell yeah!
Um,
My own kids can be very damn frustrating.
yeah, I've met them. They have that capacity. Um, Equally, it's like I can imagine ejecting my child eventually, an adult child who is actually ready for things, and saying, "You need to move on." I cannot imagine
Yes,
tossing out a minor who genuinely doesn't know what they're doing.
yeah. I cannot fathom the situation. Well, no, I can. I can fathom the situation in which my minor child would not be welcome at home, and that would be because they are actively doing things that are putting their younger siblings at severe
Yes.
risk.
Yep.
And
That's the one right there.
and and even then, in those situations, it would not be a get out. I don't want to see you. That would be that would be a law enforcement is getting involved, and you're going into their custody, or a residential treatment center
Right.
detox, depending on what would be appropriate for that situation. I'm not just going to say, you know what, I'm sick of you, get out. But I've
Yeah.
had kids crashing on my couch for a week because their mom said, I'm tired of you, get out. And they
That's
grab a couple sets of clothes and are like,
weird.
can I sleep at your place?
Yeah.
Like, I have a hard time understanding how you could even do that to your kid, but obviously it happens.
Clearly. I mean, we have adult friends who have similar or worse stories at points.
Yeah.
That it clearly happens, and it's clearly been a thing for a long time, and like forever. The history of humanity, I am certain, is replete with parents uh, doing poorly at that job.
Well, hell, the Bible. Go read the Old
Yes.
Testament.
Yeah. Yeah. Read between the lines. There's a lot of bad parenting going on there.
I mean, hell, we have a good friend, one of the kindest, most genuine people I know, whose nickname from his family is Toad because toads are an unwanted pest.
Yeah.
And it's been many years kind of dissuading him from continuing to use that because you should separate yourself from that, bud.
Yep. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I can totally understand being frustrated. I can understand being mad as hell with child, especially teenagers, when they do things that people with developing brains do. I can't fathom the just, I'm sick of you, go away.
Yeah.
Well, go away as in get out of my house, not
Right.
I need I need some time to decompress before I address this with you.
Yeah.
There's a there let's be clear. There is there is a difference between I need you to give me some space so that I can handle this appropriately because I'm
Right.
really pissed off right now and get out of my house. I don't want to see you for at least a week.
Right. No, again, it would take a persistent pattern of legally actionable behaviors.
Yeah, that's a really good way to phrase that.
And I don't necessarily see that happening. I mean, I suppose when it does happen, that the parents involved didn't see it coming either. But
Yeah, I think in many cases that's probably true. I would my observations would also indicate that's because that the primary reason for that is because those parents are insufficiently involved, although not always.
not always.
Not always, but much of the
Sometimes
time.
there is mental health stuff. We have a buddy who's dealt with some truly heinous things from an adoptive child, and
Yes.
you just like see also another buddy whose sibling basically just lost their mind, um,
Oh
literally.
yeah.
Yeah, and you get calls from law enforcement saying we need to talk to you, and you say I'm on the other side of the country, and they say, oh, that changes things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about, and some
they're
of
they're
the
there are genuine situations where you just you kind of go, what? How? Okay,
Yeah.
something definitely needs to happen there.
And often cases when they're legally an adult, there isn't a whole lot available.
Yeah, you can make it clear that they are not welcome. You can make it legally clear that they are not welcome, and then you can back that up with the threat of force
Should that become necessary?
should it become necessary. And you hope that that convinces them to stay away.
Yeah, because sometimes people reach the point where even though that is your sibling, you cannot do anything more for them,
Yeah, yeah.
which is sad, but it is true. And wow, we've
Well, that
we've
got kind of dark.
we've strayed from
Yeah.
our intended path quite a bit, but that's
Oh, Lordy.
okay. Let's be honest. That's our jam at this point. That
It's
is
true.
how we do things. SOP here is to um, veer off into unplanned territory.
Yep.
So let's see.
So,
Where are
well,
we?
we okay. We are ostensibly talking about unfair standards. The advantage of holding yourself to an unfair standard is that you tend to hit it more than you would than other people would in general. And so there's better quality of work. As you mentioned, holding yourself to a professional standard on your drywall job means that you will have a good drywall job. One of the realities is that the difference between a good drywall job and a bad drywall job is only noticeable after a few years.
Yeah, yeah. Still, you're not gonna see me posting photos of freshly hung drywall. There won't be any photos that are shown till after it's textured.
Yeah, that's
Because
fair.
by the time I've mudded and taped and I've textured everything, the unsightly gaps around the outlets and things are taken care of.
It's true.
And yeah, and it's kind of weird because I've taken my online presence more public than I have in a long time since I'm part of the face of two different public facing shows,
Yeah.
two podcasts, and I also have my woodworking business that I am trying to promote. That means that now my default post is set to public because I am trying to get visibility,
Right.
and the impulse to only show the wins, to only show the finished product, is strong. I mean, that's one of the reasons why before we actually started doing this, I said, I think I want to start. I think we should start out every episode with a "What are you doing to improve yourself?" Because we're
Yep.
trying to help model that behavior for other dads.
Yeah.
What
Well,
is
and
something you screwed up?
yeah,
Sorry, Dave.
and frankly, guys who want to or plan to be dads and are not yet,
Yes.
uh, because there is nothing like wanting to be a father and being terrified of it, especially when your wife, girlfriend, partner, however you want to describe um, the other half of your genetic donorship relationship comes and says, "By the way, you're going to be a father in a
Yeah.
finite time."
Or hell, when you have children and you're sitting here going, I am so unprepared for this,
Yes.
which is constant.
Yeah.
That never
One of
goes away.
That's true. One of the nice things that we have been able to do for our elder children is teach them how to change diapers, because the first diaper I ever changed was my eldest.
Do you not have younger siblings?
I have my sister is 2.5 years younger than I
Oh,
am.
okay.
I was not physically coordinated enough to change or strong enough to change her diaper.
Because, let's see, I first changed a diaper when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, see, that's about the earliest I would think that would be even possible. I'm not sure
Yeah,
it's
because
wise at 5.
I was supervised,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I learned that that's when I learned that contrary to prior supposition, that the female anatomy is in fact capable of a long distance stream of urine.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That you look, guys. You have a daughter, and you're going to become very. You think you're familiar with certain parts of anatomy. You're going to have to become incredibly familiar with those, and
Yeah.
it's just like you just welcome to fatherhood.
And that's before they start menstruating. You're not there yet.
I've got a
I know that look.
I've got a few years and a beautiful, talented wife,
Hmm.
and frankly, we have been, if anything, we have erred on the side of educational.
Yes, I think that's the way to do it. Um, Speaking of that eventuality, wasn't a big deal with my daughters because
No, you're.
yes, I aired on the side of education.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was one daughter's birthday. She was having a sleepover, and one of her friends who was over for the sleepover had started her first period and did not know what was going on.
That I've seen Carrie,
Um,
and not knowing what is going on would be terrifying.
yes, so I call this girl's mom. She does not answer the phone. It was like, well, okay, I will explain to you what's going on, and I will let your friend here introduce you to the products that we use for managing that, which we fortunately have an ample supply of because I purchase all that shit at Sam's Club.
Yeah, you
Toilet
know,
paper, paper towels, cleaner, all that stuff I buy in the maximum quantities possible and just lay in stocks because I never want to even chance running out of
in
hygiene
in
supplies of
case
any kind.
in case of zombie apocalypse, it's good to have a supply on hand.
Yeah, I am over it. Well, when the insanity over COVID hit,
Oh, God bless.
um,
Yes.
it was almost 3 years before I could buy Formula 409 again and find it in stock anywhere. By the time I was able to get it again, I had just worked through my back stock of it
Wow.
because it's a fantastic antiseptic cleaner. It's a
Yep.
fantastic degreaser. It's kind
Yep.
of my go-to for most hard surface cleaning. But I have on Subscribe and Save a 1.5 liter bottle every other month,
There
and
you
right
go.
now I have like 5 of them in back stock. I have 6 children in the house. We go through lots of cleaning products.
Deep storage is important. It occurs that we should probably discuss concepts of deep storage and how to make sure that you've got enough stuff on hand of the right stuff at some
Oh,
point.
you mean prepping for non-delusional people?
Yeah, basically.
Because chances are the zombie apocalypse is not going to happen, but the world may go crazy. You may not be able to buy toilet paper for a month.
It's true. I tend to at this point use the concept of the zombie apocalypse or alien invasion or similar as a stand-in for the world goes insane, and we've lived through it now.
Yes.
So it's useful to discuss that without pushing anybody's emotional buttons.
By referencing recent or current events,
Hmm.
because then people get stupid and annoying.
I deal with enough emotional responses every day, including my own, that
Yes.
if I can reduce that particular if I can reduce that particular level of friction, then I'm going to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And but so back to what I was saying, I
Mm.
had to have that discussion with a 12-year-old girl who I'd met 3 times previously.
Oh goodness.
And then when her mother called me back 3 hours later at like 11 p.m., say, so this happened. And she goes, oh my God, is she okay? And I said, yeah. I said, I explained this to her briefly, but enough for her to understand. And we have ample supply of feminine hygiene products on hand.
Yep.
So she's taken care of. She seems fairly calm, but you probably want to talk to her tomorrow.
Yeah.
And this woman, if I recall correctly, she was a single mom, um, and this her daughter's father had excused himself from the picture quite some
Yeah.
time ago. So I think she took the opportunity of not having a child at home to go out, which I don't blame her.
Absolutely.
I mean, as a single parent, time that you can do anything for yourself is astonishingly rare.
Yep.
But that was okay. We can handle this. It was not comfortable. I would rather not ever have to do that again.
That's fair.
But fortunately, this girl's mom was not one of the crazy ones, and she was nothing but exceedingly grateful
Yeah.
that we were able to handle that in a pretty low key manner. Yeah, without embarrassing her in front of all the other girls
Right.
and everything else.
Which and that one that managing it without embarrassing her in front of her friends is probably the biggest thing for her.
Probably. And that goes to a principle that actually military leadership swears by,
Yes.
and is equally applicable to parenting, and applies not only to discipline but also to other awkward conversations of praise publicly, correct privately.
Absolutely. Of note, ladies and gentlemen out there in internet lands, um, this is especially true of your spouse, partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Don't reprimand them publicly.
Yes. Also, and this applies to men and to women. Don't go out and complain about your spouse.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
My wife does not have a large circle of female friends because far too many women like to get together and then they all sit there and complain about their husbands. And she's like, one, I can't think of anything to add, anyways. And two, if I did, I wouldn't be voicing it here.
Yeah, if you have something that you need to feel the need to uh, complain about to another person about your spouse, they'd better be a very close confidant, and you really should be bringing that up with your spouse first.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that there've definitely been times where I complained about what was going on, as that first marriage was, well, frankly, had already unraveled, and I was finally figuring out that it had,
Hmm.
which I would say is slightly different than getting together with your friends and just bitching about little shit.
Yeah,
And that was with close friends, not random people that I'm hanging out with from work.
right.
But yeah, don't. don't ever do that. Praise in public, correct in private as much as possible, and
Mm-hmm.
the awkward conversations that are inevitable, do those privately as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
as much as you can. You're going to have them.
yes. And if you're going to embarrass your children, it should be you're because dad's an old nerd and he likes old nerdy stuff
Right?
and tells kind of dumb jokes, not because dad decided to talk about what happened when I first got my period in front of all of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't
Yeah, don't do that.
don't deliberately embarrass your children. You'll do it inadvertently enough. Which again, that kind of goes back to the highlight reel that is the thing scrolling across the devil box that we carry around in our pocket.
Look, I need my digital ball and anchor chain thing to connect me to all the things in the world I don't care about.
And yet also the things that are important, because you know what, the shared family Google Calendar.
Kind of a
I do
necessity.
I do not know how I would function without it, because we've got it where my daughters input their work schedules. The school schedule for each day is on there. The after school activities are on there. The doctor's appointments are on there. The dentist appointments are on there. The birthday
Yep.
parties are on there. And I can put in not only a name, a date, a time, but a location.
Yes.
So when we get the invite to a birthday party a month before it happens, I can not only put that on the calendar, I can also put down the address so that a month later we aren't searching for that invitation to figure out where the hell I'm taking this child.
Right.
So, a necessity and yet also the most pernicious thing in our possession.
Well, and that's how they get you. Um, I tell you, one of the issues that I have with it is that I don't really get time to myself.
Hmm.
And so the ability to pull up a piece of fiction or an article and just read something for 3 minutes in the hope that I'm uninterrupted is as you said, bit of a pernicious lure.
Well, it can be a positive thing.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I like to use informational YouTubery as functional body doubling when I'm trying to, get tasks accomplished, like things I hate, like folding laundry or washing dishes. You know,
Yes.
it is a great way to jumpstart that and keep that process going. It is also very easy to be doing so when I probably shouldn't.
I call it slipping and falling in brain rot,
Yeah,
or tripping over brain rot.
tripping over brain rot. I like that. I mean,
Because
I like the phrase. I don't like the experience of it or the reality of it.
because the fact is that those algorithms that we are trying to figure out to increase our engagement here are also custom tailored to distract you and pull you away from the shit you actually need to be getting done.
Yeah, yeah. I have this fond notion of a lockbox where I can put my phone and leave it there while I do actually important things. Maybe things that eventually make money, bring in income for my family. Um, it, it's kind of a dream at this point.
There is a potential that a podcast can grow to do that.
It's a it if it happens, that would be lovely.
I am putting forth the effort to enable that to happen
Hmm.
without depending on it happening. If that
That's the
makes
way
if
to
that
do it.
makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. It, the research and development portion of things is really not that difficult or time consuming. Putting in the time and effort makes it just makes sense to do it for a thing that you are already going to be doing.
Yeah, I think we said episode one. The primary goal here is to give us an opportunity to speak with another adult we like for more than 5 minutes,
Right.
which doesn't happen very often during a week for either of us. It's also an excuse to drink beer or whiskey and hang out with a good friend who lives, one or more time zones away.
Yep. Hey,
Speaking of which, if anybody can find it, Tullamore Dew Cider Cask is so good, but it was a
mm,
limited thing that Dave got me a couple bottles of like 6 years ago. So
something like that.
um,
It's really good.
good
It
luck, but
is.
I don't think it
Yeah.
exists.
They'll probably do another run of it eventually.
We can
I
hope.
hope.
I have half a bottle left, and it's been
I
meted out very judiciously.
I might actually have some left in my stash in storage somewhere. That would be exciting.
I don't know about you guys, but we're way better at collecting liquor than we are at drinking it.
Yeah, yeah. No, we absolutely are far better at collecting it. Like the thing is, I don't like. I really enjoy alcohol in the sense of I like the flavors involved and I like what you can do with it. I like the concept. I absolutely hate feeling drunk.
I do like achieving the point of a little bit of disinhibition,
Mm-hmm.
of a buzz,
Mm-hmm.
but being shit-wrecked is not a pleasant experience.
Hard pass.
Yeah, so, that may mean that I have a total of 3 ounces of whiskey here that I consume over the course of a 2-hour podcast.
Right.
And I have a
Once a
little
week.
buzz.
Yep.
Yeah, once a week or less,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
If I
moderation is
don't
self care.
exactly. If I don't drink whiskey this week, I will be fine.
Yep.
I have
However,
other things I like to drink, like coffee. I even like to drink tea on occasion. Now
or
I do it out
water,
of water is so boring. Oh,
plus fish fuck in it.
yeah, all day.
And that's before we talk. That's before we say anything about sailors,
I mean, yeah,
or the fact that most that for the vast majority of ships on the ocean, their waste management system is flushing the tanks into the ocean.
yeah. There's a lot more ocean than there are tanks.
You
And
know,
why would you? What would you do with that anyway?
I mean, run it like an RV, and you store it all, and then it gets pumped out at shore, ideally for processing at a wastewater treatment plant.
I mean, yeah, but
Most of the world doesn't have much in the way of infrastructure for wastewater treatment.
it's true.
Um, if you've been to the less nice parts of the world, and honestly, even some of the nice parts of less nice parts of the world,
Oh yes,
um, you realize that most of what's getting flushed is ending up in the groundwater or the nearest river
yeah.
with little to no treatment.
You had best filter and boil on your own.
That is a lesson I learned the hard way.
You learned that the hardest way, sir.
Um, yeah, 18 months, effectively almost 18 months of amoebic dysentery was, and I picked up several other parasites during that time as well simultaneously.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it turns out that the little water filtration systems that they distributed to missionary apartments were not great. Especially when you leave the maintenance of them and the switching of filters to 19-year-old boys
Yeah.
who either come from a place where the drinking water is always clean and it can't be that big a deal. It looks clean, or I've never drunk purified water in my life. What are you talking about?
Hmm.
That seems ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I once lost 60 pounds in 3 weeks.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. Suddenly, none of my clothes fit.
Suddenly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really was suddenly.
Oh
Dysentery is
yeah.
no joke.
No, there's a reason it was a killer for most of history.
Still is for much of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if
No,
you ever
the
you ever get on a weird info dive on the internet because you're wondering about something and you wake up 4 hours later
yep.
realizing how many millions of people die every year from completely preventable intestinal parasites.
Yep. The word on the street is that most of Latin America takes a broad spectrum approach to eliminating parasites at least once a year on a personal basis.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I don't know that I witnessed anybody in Asia who did that regularly, but
Well,
I've known people who, as children, you know, they would. It was normal practice for children to just kind of defecate wherever, and kids would and they would go with their friends and all defecate in a similar place, and then grab a stick and see who had the most worms.
ew.
Yeah, somebody's telling that as a fond childhood memory, and I'm just like, oh my god, what the
That's
fuck?
that's that's no, no. We how about we take that up as a cause at some point? How about humanity try to eliminate childhood parasites at some point?
That would be a very big job. Although
It would be.
there are some foundations that are doing very good work on that where they
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is that many of the locations where that is a serious concern are also rather lacking in stability to
Yeah.
which inhibits creating infrastructure that does not just get dismantled to be used to nefarious purposes.
Look, the man with the nice man with the smiling man with the guns and all of his friends with the guns said that they would make sure it got to the right people.
Yeah, that's how the UN fails at providing aid.
Yep.
But anyways,
Hey,
not to get into geopolitics, as that's exclusively what
studying
we are not doing.
studying history can make one a little cynical about humanity. Is all I'm saying.
Yes, and that's studying history without the coloration of the yellow news,
Mm,
to borrow a
yeah.
term from 100 years plus ago.
Oh my gosh. The amazing thing is they convinced us that they weren't
No,
for a
they always
while.
were.
They
They
always
always
were.
were. If it bleeds, it leads because it's all, today it's getting
It's
clicks.
all about
Before
the
that, it was
clicks.
selling newspapers.
Yep.
So you put the most horrific things, the most outrageous things on the headline to get people to go, "Oh, what the hell?" and pay their
Yep.
nickel for the newspaper,
There you go.
or to give their 40 seconds to read the headline and then go, "Oh, that's weird," and not read the article.
Yeah.
Of course, most of the articles filler and hyperbole anyways, so you may be better off not.
Yeah. Just be aware of your own bias and everybody else's
Yep,
because it's there.
including us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, again, as we drift massively off topic,
Yeah, that's okay.
um, let's turn towards wrapping down the our ostensible main topic,
Sure.
which comes under the headline "Reclaiming Your Personal Timeline."
Oh, good lord. I don't know how to do that. I am happy to admit that I'm really bad at that. In part because I've got a toddler, and he's a great kid, and occasionally his siblings can occupy him for as much as 3 minutes at a stretch.
I mean, if you're doing really well, if you can fold a load of laundry before he interrupts you.
Yeah, yeah. Cooking is usually a matter of well, here, child, heat this up in the microwave. Here, child, make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I will freely admit that I did not appreciate when I was their age, in the manner that I do today. PBJ is magnificent fodder. The
In our house, it's peanut butter and Nutella because my children are spoiled.
Oh yeah, I don't. We went through a period, and then the Nutella started disappearing, and I was like, "Are you just eating this?" And my terminally honest children admitted that they were in fact just eating it.
Just grabbing a
Um,
spoon and going to town on it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So.
Well, mine understand that there is a finite amount, and
Hmm.
should it disappear, it will not be in their lunches for the next week or two
It, it
until it gets restocked,
it
and
will get restocked on schedule.
mhm, that is served as sufficient deterrent to at least maintain sufficient stock
Yeah.
for them. But so in
How do,
our go ahead.
how do you maintain? How do you reclaim your personal schedule?
Well,
Um, you endure until they are sufficiently self sufficient.
mine are 11, 13, 15, 17, 17, and 18.
Yep.
That has not happened. Let's be honest, that level of self-sufficiency happens sometime after they've flown the nest.
Yes. And odds are good that they will be calling at all hours of the day and night, asking for how do I do this thing?
Yes, how do I do this thing? Mine have assured me that if they are within 100 miles, they will still be showing up for dinner on the regular.
Honestly, if they leave and then still come back for dinner, I will actually be pretty thrilled,
Oh, hell yes. Like, yeah,
because
that's one of those. Oh no, don't throw me in that briar patch. Oh God, my child who moved out wants to come home and sit down and eat dinner with us because my cooking's better than theirs. Oh
Yeah, even if it's
no,
just they want the food, I will be happy to see
that's
them.
good enough for me.
Yep.
Good enough for me. But in our suggestions here, it says establish a strategy for setting micro goals based on your specific family dynamics instead of external trends.
YouTube can take those micro goals and shove it up its collective algorithm.
I only say it because I go, holy shit, that's really well stated.
It, okay, yeah, that's fair. And I tell you, my son, my youngest, is tending to take a nap at about the usual time. There is a roughly usual time, and that makes a big difference. Uh, when my second was wee, like tiny, tiny,
So she
before she was
still is.
really mobile, she is still wee. But when she was, not yet mobile,
Uh huh.
she would sleep every day for 3 hours, and the only place she would sleep was strapped to my chest during the day. And so I had about 3 hours during the day where I could stand in front of my computer and do kind of whatever. And I got a good amount of writing done, and I got even gooder amount of video games
Skyrim.
played. Skyrim, Fallout. Uh, was I playing? I was probably playing World of Warcraft at that point. Um,
God,
back
that was a
before,
long time ago.
dude, I got my account. I first got my account. I want to say in June of 2000, June or July of 2014. So the year it came out. No, 2004. The
I
year
was
it
say
came out.
2014.
No, no,
No,
2014. Yeah, no, 2004. My son was born in 2014, oldest. No, in 2004, because that was the same year I went to basic training
with all the other nerds.
with no, only half of my division were nerds. The other half were inner city kids. We all got along like a house on fire. A lot
It
of
seems pretty normal from all the stories I've heard from
screaming and
everybody's
running
basic
around.
training.
Yeah, yeah. I probably should have been in one of the triple threat divisions, just because that's where the really high performing kids went who had some capacity for a bunch of other things, like music or marching, etc. But
So the
instead,
autistic ones.
yeah, God, no,
A
because like I
little
knew a
bit.
bunch of those, like I knew a bunch of those guys in language school, and they weren't is the crazy part, or at least they were so high functioning as to be indistinguishable from normies. So maybe they're just really good at masking. I don't know.
So maybe the polymaths as
Yeah.
opposed to the ones with just a
Well,
restricted fixated interest that happens to align with military need.
we had double digits heading toward nuclear power school. Um, so yeah, that we had our share of young men who were of a more rigid personality.
That's a great way to phrase that. But so we're
So
talking.
so you've got nap time. You've got time. The point about the whole nap time thing is you've got time in your schedule somewhere. Um, cut out the unnecessary crap like doom scrolling, tripping on brain rot, um, and frankly, this is one that okay. Do as I say, children, not as I do. Um, Learn to recognize what is and is not essential in any day.
Yep,
If you don't have to fold that pile of laundry because it will get taken care of one way, or it's just somewhere where it's not going to have dirty clothes piled in amongst it, it's probably good for a while.
it may not be the essential right now.
Yes.
There are things that you can set aside for a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then we get to my refrain in this household of neurospiciness. Don't put it down, put it away,
Yep.
because pretty soon everything fills up with random stuff.
Yes.
And
Um, the plague of flat surfaces in my household is has been a constant, and it drives me bughouse knucking futs.
it'll never
Um,
end.
no, it won't.
But there understand that yeah, there are things that can be set aside for right now. That doesn't mean that you can just
Hmm.
forget that they exist, which is
Yes,
also an ADHD thing.
it genuinely is, and I have not yet learned how to deal with that portion of things.
The
Um,
secret is nobody completely does.
yeah, that's fair. That's realistic, and I see. And this is another. Speaking of standards, you see things like the. This is the there's a couple that plays pranks on each other. There are probably several of them, but the one I'm thinking of involves balloons full of a mixture of shaving cream and water, because it's
I
shaving
would
cream
get
is
divorced.
shaving. You get to see them cleaning up after each other, after them, like they clean up together afterwards. And since it's shaving cream and water, it's basically just soap anyway. But like it would make me insane. It would
It
genuinely
would
make me
drive
insane.
me completely insane.
But they seem to get a kick out of it, and their house is clearly in pretty good order. I even have friends who like vacuum on a regular basis because they want to, and I love them dearly, and I don't just don't comprehend.
I
Like I
do
don't grok it.
because when the shed dog fur starts making little dust bunnies in the corners
Oh,
by the baseboards, I get crazy.
but that's because you are. There's still an external trigger to that. They
There
just do
is.
it because it's part of their schedule and that's how they do things, and like whether or not it needs it, and that's
That's
strange.
that's part of how you conquer some of these things is you just say this has to be done. I'm going to do it on this day
Yep.
every week and I'm going to make myself do it. I mean that's how I have to approach exercise.
Yeah,
Is
and
I
that's
have to
fair.
do this because I will find something that is more pressing every time and
God,
will
see,
always set it aside because
I would
I don't want to do it.
I would happily drop many other things to work out, but
I would not.
I'm weird. I fully admit I'm weird that way.
There's a lot of people who enjoy it. I exercising for the sake of exercise. No, I find no joy in that. It is a necessary evil. So I have to be rigid with myself and say I'm going to do this on Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday,
Mm,
and I can't let myself go to anything else that feels more pressing until I have done it. And even then, I'm consistency eludes me to some degree.
that's yeah. Um, Learning not to beat myself up over missed workouts has been a thing.
Yes, which comes to the next point in this section that I like that you're going to feel very called out, and so do I.
Outstanding. Do it.
Practice the art of radical self compassion to protect your mental energy for the actual work of raising humans.
Excuse me, I have a something in my eye there.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Fucking
right.
ouch.
Look,
Be nice to yourself? Yeah,
because your
because that's the
children will,
easiest thing in the fucking world.
and do it because your children need to learn to be nice to themselves too.
Yes,
Ow.
because your children, the last thing they need is, as adults, that shitty voice inside their head speaking with dad's voice,
Yes.
which I will tell you is what mine has done for a long time.
Let
I've,
it at least be their own voice and not dad's.
yes. But that's one of those things. It is, you know, I understand that there are people out there who are not naturally inclined towards some level of depression and despondency.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know that I actually know any, at least not anybody who I've had the deep conversations with.
Sure.
But we know that is a genetic predisposition, among other things.
Yep.
If you deal with that, your children are going to deal with that. That's one of
Yes.
the things. That's one of the things I have learned is when my kids make mistakes, they do not need any help feeling poorly about themselves
Yeah.
because they're already beating themselves up. They do not need me to pile on to that. But one of the hardest things to learn is how to be kind to yourself and give yourself the same amount of leeway that you would give to somebody else.
Yeah. That is another thing my wife has said on any number of occasions is you're amazing at giving everybody else grace. Like, you don't hold anybody to the same standard that you hold yourself to.
Yep.
And I don't have a good response for that.
No. My therapist was like 8 minutes late. I'm his first appointment of the day. He goes, "I'm so sorry. I was doing other things and got caught in traffic." And I said, "Oh no, God forbid that you be human." And then he goes, "Yeah. So
Oh,
how's the schedule on your remodel project?"
yeah.
And I went, "I don't like you anymore."
Yeah. I liked you for 30 seconds. I don't like you anymore.
But the point is,
Yeah.
I'm paying good money for his, for 55 minutes of his time. He was 8 minutes late. That, if I
That
want to be it,
there's a
if
distinct monetary value of time that you are not going to get. You can't get that time back.
however, I of course say, well, oh no, you're human. Shit
Right.
happens.
Yeah.
Am I that forgiving of myself? Sometimes if I try really hard and I'm really intentional about it, I can almost approximate it.
If I remember in the moment to strangle the critical voice before it gets going on those old familiar ruts, then I can maybe feel okay about it.
Yeah. But that comes to the ideals in our head are generated by ourselves. They're also generated by the things we see, which
Yeah.
includes the pernicious social media algorithm that's showing you the idealized, prepped for public view version of
Oh yeah.
everything.
Oh yeah. What's the Simpsons shot of Homer that pans around with the back, and he's skinny like he was when he was young, and all of that
Has
flesh has
hair.
been, yeah, and has hair, and all of that flesh has been pulled back around and effectively zip tied behind him, like cartoonish, yes, but like that there. I am given to understand that any number of Instagram accounts actually operate on under similar mechanisms.
Yeah, the room that we're filming in was, got that whole, oh God, somebody's coming to my house, Flight of the Bumblebees, hyper clean for 7 minutes thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
where you
that's
open
why
the door
we
and
have
say, sorry, the place is such a mess. When
yeah that's
really you
that's
should
why
be
we have.
honest, and really, when that happens, you should be honest and be like, hey guys, this is the cleanest this fucking place has been in 7 weeks.
Thank you for coming over because it gave me the needed adrenaline rush to actually get some things dealt with.
Yeah.
And I would
But
be lying if I said that I had never crammed everything into a closet because I couldn't figure out where to put it.
yeah, so would I.
Yeah.
But that you do that thing, and that's the version that we present to the public. I mean, hell, that's as much as even we are intentional about talking about shit we've screwed up.
Hmm.
Still, the vast majority of what we're talking about is things that we've figured out and and feel reasonably competent at.
Yeah.
It takes some real conscious effort to be peeling back farther to the unphotogenic stuff that's underneath the
Yes.
veneer.
Yeah.
And so, radical compassion for yourself for not meeting the ideal set by what the internet shows you, or what that if you did everything perfectly, you're capable of.
I know I can do a better job at this, so I'm going to bludgeon myself emotionally until I do a better job of it, knowing that since the project is already done, I'm not going to repeat this until I absolutely have to.
Yeah, and it's one of the secrets to woodworking
Hmm.
is that the true measure of your skill is how you cover up your mistakes.
Yes.
How do you work around this miter joint with an unsightly gap? How do you cover that up integrate it and still make the finished piece look fantastic.
Yep.
And
What do
of
you do
course,
when you stain it and then you hate how it turns out?
yeah. Now, generally speaking, you're not going to take the photo of that slightly sloppy joint
Yep.
and
You'll do the other one
broadcast
that's
it for the
clean.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll do the one out of the four that actually looks fantastic,
Yeah.
and you'll show everybody the final product after you've dealt with where you messed up.
Right.
You're not generally going to be showing the process of, oh god, how do I fix this now?
Yes. Well, and there are any number of things where you say, well, I guess we're keeping that one, and I'm going to apply all the lessons I learned to the next one. I
Yep.
sure wish I sure wish I would make was going to make money on this, but I'm not.
Yes.
What I did was a pay tuition.
There are a few of those pieces in my house.
Yeah. Once I have the current plan is to put together a smithy when we're back in the house where I can beat on hot steel because everybody needs a hobby. In my case, I need another hobby because clearly, uh, but I fully plan on making hundreds, if not thousands, of nails and other small projects in learning how to do things right because I'm going to screw them up. I know I am. The
Yep.
first knife shaped object I made was it's you know pretty good when you compare it to the all the ones you know 11 to 15-year olds made that weekend. But then I've got a better eye than they do and a lot more strength and control. I am more coordinated than a teenager, and that's kind of a low bar.
Yeah, generally speaking, it is.
Yeah, and so I would expect mine to look better. I'm still going to keep that damn thing, and I'm going to probably put it on the wall somewhere so that I can look at it and say, yeah, there's some cool things about this, and look how far I have come.
Yeah.
But I would not.
Um,
I do not hold that up against the that camp knife that I bought from Ben and say, you know, man, I suck because I
yeah.
have a realistic understanding that he is a lot better at making knives than I am.
Well, he's also done it, through several, probably at this point, probably 1,000 iterations more than you have,
Yeah,
which is why.
yeah, and that there is a realistic expectation, a realistic standard.
Yeah. My first real
Only take me forty
woodworking
six.
project, what was that?
Only taken me 46 years.
It's better than a lot of people do.
That's fair.
But my first real woodworking project, making the transition from, basically rough carpentry to attempting to make something furniture grade, I
Yeah,
made a new base for our kitchen table, which our kitchen table, the top of that, my father in law made in a college woodworking shop before I was born.
yeah, it's nice.
It was I think he said he made that in 1982, year before I was born, 6 years before my wife was born.
I was two.
Yeah, but that tabletop has been around for all that time.
Mm-hmm.
It is now on, I believe it's its third or its fourth base, which I
Okay.
made the new base for it. My first time doing mortise and tenon joints. My first time doing inlays with a router. My
Yep.
first time, actually, my first time gluing up multiple pieces of wood to make a larger piece of wood. And especially looking back on this 5 years later, those joints are really sloppy.
Yeah.
The little decorative faux pegs I made are inconsistent. And I look at it on almost a daily basis and I want to go and remake it because I could do it so much better now.
Right.
But I don't.
Mm-hmm.
for one reason, other than I have other demands on my time. And that is, I frequently use it as an object lesson for my
Yes.
kids because kids start something and they're not very good at it, and they go, "I don't want to do this anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And I go, "No, no, 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 no. What is the first step to becoming good at something?
Sucking at it.
It's to suck at it." That's
Yep.
why the next tattoo that my oldest is going to do will be on the inside of my wrist. Is this is my irreverent approach to continuous improvement philosophy.
Oh
Because
yeah.
in business, I'm Six Sigma trained. I didn't bother with the certifications because I realized that Six Sigma is a cult. But which in
Well,
statistical
well,
analysis,
someday we're going to get some really angry comments about that.
oh, I know. But the concept there, it's a quality management system
Yeah.
where if you've achieved in statistical analysis, if you've achieved Six Sigma levels of quality, you are as close to perfection as is numerically possible, basically. And there's a process: define, measure, analyze, interpret, control, for how you go about identifying the weak points in a process and improving it. And the idea is that you continuously make small improvements because you ever inch closer to that numerical perfection that's impossible.
Right.
And my irreverent take on that whole philosophy is suck less.
Yep.
Because the fact of the matter is, everything we're doing, it's always possible for us to do better.
Yeah.
So we start out, we suck at things, and every day the goal is, at each iteration, we suck a little bit less. You suck a little
Yeah.
bit less. And that's the entire goal of it, of kind of everything we talk about. Is the only valid basis for comparison is not the shit everybody posts on Instagram or, God forbid, TikTok. It is not. It is not the photos that your friends show of this awesome knife they just made after making 3,000 that sucked.
Mm-hmm.
The only valid basis for comparison is who you were yesterday.
Yep.
And if you have done one thing a little bit better, you have succeeded. It may not be beautiful. It may be far, far from perfection. But if it is better than you did yesterday, you have succeeded.
Yep.
If your mindset is correct, which is an eternal struggle, you can never fail by comparison unless you have regressed. And even then, regression is a normal thing. There will be days that we do things really well, and there are days that we handle the same situation not as well. But the goal is, every day you get a tiny bit better at even one thing. You manage to keep your cool for 5 seconds longer than you would have 2 weeks ago. You have
Yeah.
succeeded.
Yeah. You take that deep breath before opening your mouth, and it completely changes what you were the entire course of that conversation.
Exactly. And if you did that for the first time today, that is a fucking success.
Congratulations. You are infinitely beyond where you were yesterday.
Exactly. So, in failing by comparison, that the reason that we feel that way is because the vast majority of things we are comparing ourselves to are bullshit. Because the only comparison that matters is you and what you did yesterday or the last time you attempted this.
Yep.
If you can make a tiny improvement in one area every day, you will look back in 5 years, and I'm saying this from direct personal experience, if you can improve some aspect of how you perform at being a father to your children, 5 years from now, you're going to look back and go, God, I was an asshole.
Yeah.
And you know what? Compared to where you are now, you were being an asshole.
It is so much easier with my toddler now than it was when my eldest was a toddler.
Yeah,
And I
because
had
this is your
way less
third
going on.
iteration.
I had way less going on.
True. You had not walked through umpteen disasters of the last 5 years.
Hey. Yeah.
But yeah, guys, that is, I think, at the heart of our total message here is every day we're working to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. And more often than not, if you're being intentional about the effort, you will succeed. And we need to practice, excuse me, we need to practice a little bit of that radical compassion that feels so triggering and give ourselves credit where credit is due, which is improving on ourselves.
Yep.
Nobody else's idealized, 90-second highlight reel of their week is a valid basis for comparison of yourself and how you are doing as a human being and how you are doing as a dad.
Yeah.
If you managed one thing better today than you would have yesterday, that is a success, and you need to give yourself credit for it. And when you screw up, you need to learn to give yourself the same amount of grace that you would give just about any other person. Hey, you're human. Shit happens. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not an insurmountable error.
Treat yourself as if you are somebody you appreciate and like and want to do well.
Treat yourself as if you are somebody you actually give a shit about.
Yep.
Or one of the other thoughts I have is treat myself the way that my wife would treat me.
Yeah.
Well, to an extent. Let's not get too personal. That's a little close to submariner activity that we don't need to go to.
Right.
Well, let's see. Let's be honest, not just submariners,
Well,
but
yeah. I have known many military folk and non-military folk. Humans are consistent.
yeah, that reminds me of a terrible dad joke.
Oh dear.
Dave, do you know why the sperm crossed the road?
No, Brian, I don't know why the sperm crossed the road.
Because your adolescent son put on the wrong pair of socks this morning.
Wow. Wow.
Give that one a couple of years,
That's amazing.
isn't it?
Yeah. That's just the other side of wrong.
That is
Such
where our sense of humor lives, my friend.
such that you can't actually tell that one and not possibly get an EO complaint. Um,
At
the best
work,
thing the best thing about dad jokes is that generally they are the only EO friendly form of humor that exists.
then I'm getting dad jokes very wrong. But that is my sense of humor. What doesn't kill you.
So we are all secretly or not so secretly 12.
Oh, I make no pretensions otherwise.
Fair.
I will always laugh at a good fart joke. And dick jokes are even better. Or the one that I've given a couple times this week is I've been instructing various other people's children, mostly in, doing electrical or drywall stuff, is, hey, do you know why safety glasses are the most important part of PPE?
No, why are safety glasses the most important part of PPE?
Because you can't hear boobs.
It's true. Not unless things are going very differently.
I don't think that I've ever really concentrated on the oral sensation. Excuse me, oral as an AU, not O.
Aural, yes.
Aural, yes, the aural sensation in those situations. So
I
you may,
mean,
in fact, be able to, but I've been too distracted to ever notice.
that's very masculine of you.
Yes, I am a visual creature.
That's entirely reasonable.
With good reason.
Yep.
So I think that gives us a good point to end. We'll see. We'll see how YouTube reacts to dirty dad jokes, because I am absolutely going to cut those out and post them across the internet.
YouTube allows any number of things that one would not expect them to allow. I can't imagine that those are the worst things that they have encountered.
No, but then they get really twitchy about other things that you're just like, that's frankly that's stupid.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah, guys, that's the message for today. Be kind to yourselves.
yep. Be
The
more
only
kind than
person,
you think you should be.
yes, the only valid basis for comparison is who you were in the past. And if you're making improvements and every day you suck a little bit less at something, you are far ahead of the vast majority of people who seem to go along perfectly content to just stagnate.
Yep.
Because if there's one other thing social media has taught me, is there are a lot of people who are very content to just exist
Yeah.
and are not particularly interested in attempting to become better.
Growth is life and stagnation is death.
Absolutely. So with that, I'm going to click the correct tab here so I can go back, hit our disclaimer / outro, and we will catch you guys next week. Please, if you have not, subscribe, like, follow on our social media channels. That will open us up the opportunity to live stream on other platforms and hopefully get some more engagement and turn these shows into more back and forth with the audience rather than us trying to figure out
Yes.
what to talk about for 2 hours.
Well, we can definitely fill the time, but we'd like to be a bit more focused and helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we can fill the time, but it may not be very helpful, as we've shown. So I'm going to hit that, and we will catch you guys on the next episode next week, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. All right, that is it for tonight's episode. Thank you for joining us. Quick reminder, all opinions expressed here are solely those of the individual speakers, hosts, and guests alike, and do not represent the views of any affiliated person, organization, company, sponsor, or other entity. This show is provided for entertainment purposes only. Nothing discussed is professional advice of any kind. Always consult a qualified professional and use your own best judgment before acting on anything we've talked about. Again, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.